Hi, I'm Cherie doing, and I don't normally do this. I think this is my very first Facebook Live, but I do think it's time to start speaking, quite frankly, right? Um, I have spent the last 15 years working in with victims of sexual trauma. And having lived through that myself, I think I have an inside look at the insidious nature of what is taking over our society, right? And what I really comes from my heart that I want to say is it's because of you. It's because of the ones out there covering things up. Right now, I'm gonna speak from my personal experience, and then I can share. I've been working, with trauma, and sexual trauma is 1 in 5 people on the planet, so that's usually very often present, even though we try to deny that it is, right? And in that, we are also in the cover up, right? Now, again, from personal perspective, right? Living in a family, I had literally 3 sexual abusers: my father, my uncle, and their best friend. So, 3 men, adult grown men, interacting sexually with a minor, a young minor, right? Barely double digits. And what I'd like to say is that my father drove 6 hours to stand in my living room and say to me, Cherie, I know that you're the reason I did not spend my life in prison. I know that. Game over. Right? He understood the sacrifices that I had made as a child and young adult to save him and cover up the crimes. Right? I was a child. Yeah. So what I can say to you is that the trauma that I experienced from the cover up far outweighed what those 3 men did to me, because it's still happening. It happens every day, right? And I guess I'm choosing to speak out today because it's the holidays, right? And these odd societal expectations show up like, oh, you should go hang out with your family, right? Well, I got an invitation from my mother, right? Oh, please come. Well, the last time I was there, I witnessed my mother, right, sitting in a group with the wives of my predators. How is one supposed to digest that? Okay, like, so you 3 women have been in charge of this entire cover up, right? And I've been gone so long, most people don't even know I exist anymore. So it gets easier and easier and easier, right? Until I show up. Yeah. So we have to recognize this, that this perpetual denial and this um, odd societal expectation is a request for a human being to go sit in a living room of the accomplices of the most insidious crimes on the planet. Right? My uncle locked me in a basement and tried to rape me, right? Now, luckily, this was one of the later experiences and the experience that gave me the power to end it all, right? Because I fought him and I fought him hard. And, the result of that is that I got out of that basement and the family says, oh, but nothing really happened, right? And hence the cover up. What about forgiveness? And then suddenly the responsibility of the condition of the family is again placed on this innocent victim, right? Because always that's where the burden of proof lies, right? And here's the thing. My father on his deathbed admitted, which I have never experienced in my 15 years of working with people. He admitted that he crossed that sexual line with me. And guess what? They covered that up too. They covered that up too. Oh, he was senile. He didn't know what he was saying, blah, 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 blah. And they covered it up, right? Now, this isn't about knowing that it's true, right? This is a weird, I've never been able to put my finger on it, right? I don't know if it stems from religion. I don't know where it comes from, but it is a virus that is taking over our world. We have a pedophile president, right? I got sent information yesterday of a woman from my hometown who was violently raped from by a prominent businessman and a man who is involved in the city government and all these things. And it's been a year, and the rape kit has not been opened, right? It hasn't even been opened. And the claim is all the evidence has been lost, right? As he's getting voted into a government leader position, right? I know when I first started speaking, and after my father's admission, um, my brother, who I used to be extremely close to, asked me, and he's asked me numerous times, Cherie, what did he actually do to you? Because in this question, in his mind, was a layer of measurement around how severe what happened to me was. Like he got to be the judge of that. And interestingly enough, through the years, I've been very resistant to answering that question. And I think, you know, more than the evidence itself, it's about like the true understanding of that request, right? That it wasn't about concern for me as the victim and the child in these situations. It was about his measurement of my experience. Now, think about that. When else do we give anyone else that right? When else? Right? And what we have to understand in our world today, right? 1 in 5 little girls and 1 in 7 little boys are being sexually violated by adults. 1 in 5, 1 in 7. And what I can say is I've been in this field for a long time. And when I started, it was 1 in 3. Then it was 1 in 5. Then it was 1 in 7. And then the pedophile who is now running our country comes in, and now it's at 1 in 5. Right? We have to open our eyes and stop protecting the pedophiles. What is going on? There's no sense to be made of it. Right? 1 in 4 children are being murdered, or excuse me, one child every 4 minutes is being murdered. That's on our watch. That is on our watch. Right? 1 in 4 children are being murdered. In my work and with human trafficking, right? Another piece that we really need to open our mind to is it's not just men, right? It's not just men molesting children. It's not just men selling children. It's not just men who are running these human trafficking. Like, it's not women too, right? And we have to back out of this, ladies, and understand we've birthed everyone here. And at the end of the day, our kids are our responsibility. They came out of your body. You chose to have them. You chose to bring their breath into this world. You made that choice, and you chose it every day for 9 months. So when bad things are happening to our children and you're over there making a cover up, that's on you. That's on you. And you can't even begin to comprehend the damage that you're doing. Number one, you're letting pedophiles run around and potentially harm other children. That's on you too. Right? And you're also perpetuating abuse to the victim every day with every breath and every action. That's on you too. Like, I have to say for myself, the abuse stopped when I was 16 because I came out fighting finally. Right? And you know what my mother said to me? And this is the piece. Because I told her when I finally blew it up, I came out in a rage and set it off. Right? And here were her words, because one of them was the beloved uncle, right? And everybody loved him. And she said, you do not want to be responsible for making your grandmother have a heart attack. So you just need to be quiet. She said that. She started the whole cover up, right? Now, the crazy thing is, the biggest crazy thing is nobody sees that. What everybody sees is that I don't talk to my mom and I should fix that, right? Nobody sees that all these crimes that happened to me, she witnessed and she covered up, right? In my last and probably final family visit, my cousin, the the child of the uncle, you know, said to me, I didn't know anything was going on. Now he was speaking of my father. Of course, I'm not going to say your dad, tried to rape me when I was 13. Right? No. What a ridiculous situation to be in. And he's trying to talk to me, right? And we know, like, the biggest question I want to ask is go home and make sure he didn't do anything to your children. Please go home and do that, right? So we have to understand and open our eyes. This isn't a crime of the poor, right? I was speaking to a doctor the other day, and I was speaking about human trafficking, and she said to me, when we heal poverty, we'll heal human trafficking. And I was like, oh, no, honey. No, no, no. Like, this isn't about poverty, right? We weren't poor. No, right? And my cousins, who bad things were happening to, were not poor. And this woman was not poor. And this man was definitely not poor, right? Who just raped her. No, this is not a problem of the poor, right? This is a problem of people not being able to control their freaking selves. And, and then supported in their really bad choices by you all, by the ones who are going out and getting rid of evidence, right? Who are telling victims, now here's another real story, right? Who are telling victims that they need to be quiet because they're ruining the reputation of this really good man, right? Right? Because he was a minister, hmm and he was the in city government as well, right? So they drove her out of town, and you know what? Mom supported that and wanted to silence her as well, right? So we have to wake up to that because these are the people that are going out and committing suicide. They don't have anywhere to belong, right? There's no place to belong. When you're exiled as a whistleblower from your own family, what's left, right? What's left? And this isn't about them, right? This is about you. This is about the people that are covering it up, right? And if you're in this situation, go show this to the ones that are covering it up for you because it's not okay. This is a terrible crime. And kids are being sold day in and day out. Fact two, the child being murdered every 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes. That is a human life. And we disregard that. Disregard that. I had another man, a doctor, claim that I was making these numbers up, right? And why is that? Right? Because he's not looking, right? These are UNICEF numbers, everyone. Let's just be clear. 2025 UNICEF numbers. Guess where kids get sold, right? They get sold at those big football games everybody loves so much. They get sold um, at those big concerts, right? And nobody's at those games that don't have money. This isn't about poverty. It's not about poverty, right? So this is something I'd like for you to sit with because I know this time of year I have, even after all these years, you know, gotten so sick because we think this doesn't affect our physical bodies, but it does. I get so sick every year around the holidays, which should be the most amazing time. Why do I get sick? Because of these societal um, ideals that don't fit most people. 1 in 3, guys, 1 in 5, right? It does not fit most people's reality. In what other scenario would we expect a person to go sit in a room with pedophiles, known pedophiles, and their accomplices? Right? It's just an idiotic expectation, and one that people bump up against every day, and no one speaks about it. And this is the first video. Like I said, I've never gone live before and kind of feel weird about it, but I do feel these things need to be heard and said for life to be different. And I think as the 1 in 3, 1 in 5, we have to rise up and say it's enough, because we don't want to fall into being accomplices too. And that's what I felt for myself. I felt like suddenly in my silence and in my support of all these people that are covering up these crimes, am I in their same, am I riding the same boat, right? Because am I also letting these abusers walk free? It's a conundrum that, you know, these questions, as I said, I have been working with others in sexual trauma for the last 15 years. And this is a question that, is a conundrum that I have not found answers for. And one of the very few, I have to say, because I came here to think. I'm an Aquarius, and, you know, understanding people's motives and why they do things and how they show up is my business, right? But I was sitting across from one of these mothers recently, and you know, even after years, I thought my head was going to explode, because there was no room for her to get out of the way and recognize the harm that was being done. And this it's a blind spot. If you want us to enter in, you have to recognize that if we know the truth, the only way we can interact with you is if we're really freaking good actors. And I'm not. Again, I'm an Aquarius. No, can't do it. Once we finally know, we know. And once the truth is out, all we can do is either y'all are going to push us completely out, right? Or you're going to own it, right? And that doesn't mean anything but in here. Like, my father owned it, all of it, all of it. I had not a molecule in my body holds any resentment for him, right? That burden falls with all the quote innocent people who claim innocence in the whole scenario. And they're still holding back. And they're still holding silence. And they're holding that in the exclusion of the victim. So if this resonates with you, like, I'm coming back. I've got a lot to say, and, hopefully we can create some change around this. We need an underbelly movement, right? We need a ground roots movement. And that only comes with recognition and understanding, right? It only does. So thank you for being here. And I would love to hear your thoughts so that we can further this conversation and really start breaking open, right? What sexual abuse does to people, really, and how that can change. and what we can do to show up in a place of truth and recognition for ourselves and anybody that comes after. Because our silence transfers almost over that blindness. So that's what I'm going to leave you with.